Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take the source material you've provided, distill the complex arguments, and offer a clear pathway to profound understanding. Today, we are taking a truly celestial detour. We're moving beyond the comfort of our own solar system to focus on the single most brilliant star you can see in the night sky.
That would be Sirius. And this dive is far more than just an astronomical study. We're really stepping into cosmology, deep mythology, and the very heart of esoteric tradition.
It sounds like it. The concept we're tackling, and this comes directly from the sources you shared, is this pretty radical idea that Sirius is, in fact, the spiritual sun.
Exactly. The idea is that it's a separate and powerful source of energetic light, that it's the true engine for human consciousness and our soul's evolution, which is, completely distinct from the physical light our local sun provides.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this concept forces us to hold two realities at once, doesn't it? You have the verifiable science of a star system on one hand, and then the esoteric wisdom preserved by mystery schools and ancient cultures on the other. Our sources, they immediately take us into some pretty controversial territory. We're talking ancient astronaut hypotheses, global secret societies.
Precisely. And to respect the historical and spiritual weight of this material, we can't just approach it with our immediate modern skepticism. We need to analyze the profound importance that's been attributed to Sirius throughout human history, and we have to examine these belief systems on their own terms.
So what's our mission here, then?
Our mission is to really determine how Sirius operates as this spiritual sun. We'll investigate its physical reality, its indispensable role in civilizations like Egypt and the Dogon, and the specific claims about how its energy influences planetary and, most importantly, your own individual evolution.
I think the best way to anchor ourselves before things get truly cosmic is to start with what we know for certain. Let's begin with the physical facts of Sirius itself.
Sounds good.
So let's start at the beginning. It's called the Shining One.
And that's a very accurate nickname. Sirius, known colloquially as the dog star, is without a doubt the brightest star we can see from Earth. It anchors the constellation Canis Major, the greater dog.
And the name itself.
Its Greek name literally means the sparkling or scorching one, which, gives you an idea of the awe it inspired in ancient people.
And when we look at the numbers, it's easy to see why. This isn't just slightly brighter than other stars we see, is it? It's a powerhouse.
It is. So Sirius A is classified as an A-type star. That means it's a brilliant blue-white. It's physically massive. We're talking almost twice the mass and diameter of our sun, Sol.
Wow. And the brightness.
In terms of pure output, it's a giant. It shines with a luminosity of about 23 times our sun's brightness. Its surface temperature is also significantly hotter, blazing at around 17,000 degrees Fahrenheit compared to our sun's, 10,000 degrees?
That really puts it in perspective. So you have a star that is significantly bigger, hotter, and exponentially brighter than the one that governs our entire solar system.
Exactly, and yet it's also relatively close, which contributes hugely to its prominence.
How close are we talking?
A mere 8.7 light-years away, that makes it the fifth nearest star system to our own. So this combination of extreme brightness and relative proximity is why it just dominates our night sky.
But the sources bring up a specific visual detail that must have been incredibly compelling to ancient people. Something that hints at the complexity hidden within the system.
You mean the scintillation? That famous flicker.
Right.
Yeah, when you catch Sirius low on the horizon, atmospheric refraction often causes it to sparkle or flicker with many colors. It's almost like a huge diamond.
A rainbow star.
That's the poetic description it earned, yeah. It's this constant dynamic change in appearance that perhaps suggested a kind of vital active energy source to early sky gazers.
And that flickering, as fascinating as it is, leads us directly into the first great astronomical mystery. Because Sirius A is not flying solo, is it?
No, it's part of a binary system. It's paired with a companion that is almost impossible to see.
And that companion is Sirius B.
Sirius B, and its discovery was revolutionary. It was the first ever identified white dwarf star. This invisible star orbits the brilliant Sirius A in a highly elliptical path, completing a full circuit roughly every 50 years.
50 years. And that orbit is what affects Sirius A.
It does. It causes a detectable gravitational wobble in the position of Sirius A, which, incidentally, is often suggested as a scientific reason for that dynamic, sparkling appearance you mentioned.
The nature of Sirius B is just mind-bending. It's tiny, it's dim, and yet it holds a disproportionate amount of mass.
Sirius B is a scientific marvel because of its density. It's what happens when a star, having used up its lighter hydrogen and helium fuel, just collapses under its own gravity.
So the matter is crushed.
It's crushed into an extreme state. To visualize this for you, though Sirius B has nearly the mass of our own sun, it's only about the size of Earth.
That's incredible.
We're talking about matter so compressed that 1 cubic foot of its surface would weigh approximately 2,000 tons.
2,000 tons. That's staggering. Can you put that into a more human scale analogy for us?
Sure. If you could somehow fill a standard matchbox with material from Sirius B's core, that single matchbox would weigh roughly 50 tons.
The equivalent of a fully loaded semi-truck.
Exactly. It's this fundamental paradox.
Right.
The dimmest part of the system is the densest, most gravitationally powerful component. And this extreme density, this hidden weight, is a key piece of information that pops up repeatedly when we discuss the ancient esoteric claims.
Right, because it suggests knowledge of its existence long before modern telescopes.
It does. And here's where the verifiable facts start colliding with the esoteric claims. Our sources mention the possibility of a third star, Sirius C. Is this purely theoretical? The existence of Sirius C remains very much an enigma in mainstream astronomy. Some proponents of what's called the Sirius mystery claim that its existence has not only been proven, but is crucial to understanding the spiritual dynamics of the system.
And the Dogon people, who we'll get to later, they had a name for it.
They did. They allegedly call this proposed third star the Star of Women, or Emiatolo. While its existence was proposed and even temporarily cited by some astronomers in the 1920s, the current astronomical consensus, noted in our sources, has not conclusively confirmed it.
So it remains a theoretical component.
A powerful and perhaps necessary theoretical component for those seeking a Trinitarian model for the system, yes.
Okay, moving from density to color, we encounter another astronomical fact that has mystified historians for centuries: the mystery of the bloody Sirius. This is a profound historical anomaly.
It is remarkable because it directly contradicts what we see today. About 2,000 years ago, reliable ancient observers across multiple cultures, we're talking Ptolemy, Horus, Seneca, Aratus, they all recorded Sirius as being red.
And these are meticulous observers.
Very. But they described a color red that clashes fundamentally with its current classification as a brilliant blue-white A-type star.
That's a significant historical paradox. If it was red, that would suggest a much cooler star, like a red giant. So what are the competing theories to explain why they saw it that way?
Well, the scientific community generally discounts the idea that Sirius A itself has undergone such a rapid evolutionary change in only 2 millennia. That process usually takes millions of years.
So what's the conventional explanation?
The conventional, though debated, explanations center on observation effects. Perhaps localized atmospheric effects when it was viewed close to the horizon were more prevalent then, or maybe dust and gas clouds were obscuring the star, filtering its light and making it appear reddish.
But the sources we're drawing from, they entertain some more unconventional explanations.
Absolutely. The esoteric and unconventional proposals often link it to the idea of that missing third star, Sirius C, or they suggest that perhaps Sirius B was briefly visible or slightly brighter in the past, contributing a reddish hue to the overall system light.
But that doesn't really hold up, does it?
Not really. Astrophysicists calculate that Sirius B, after its white dwarf collapse, wouldn't have been luminous enough to significantly alter the visual appearance of the system for tens of millions of years. The enduring point, the thing that fuels the mystery, is that the documented ancient observations clash so directly with modern reality.
It suggests that either something dramatic happened to the star
Or that the ancient observers were perceiving something that we no longer perceive.
It sets the stage beautifully. You have a system with known visible components, hidden dense components, and contradictory historical accounts. This complexity suggests that ancient civilizations might have been focused on far more than just what was visible to the naked eye.
Exactly.
That mystery, the knowledge of the invisible, the potential for change, provides the perfect bridge into understanding how profoundly Sirius shaped ancient life. For ancient Egypt, our sources are exceptionally clear. Sirius was not just a star, it was the foundation, the very bedrock of their religious and civic life.
It's impossible to overstate its importance to the Egyptians. They revered it as Sothis, or Septet. And critically, it was associated directly and profoundly with the goddess Isis.
The female principle in their great cosmological trinity.
Yes, alongside Osiris and Horus. It was their calendar, their clock, and their deity all in one.
But why was this specific star so vital to the practical survival of Egypt?
It was known as the Great Provider. And that's because its cycle dictated the entire rhythm of life along the Nile. After being invisible for about 70 days, Sirius would perform its heliacal rising.
Which means?
It means it would reappear right before dawn on the eastern horizon. This highly anticipated event, occurring around July 26th in the ancient calendar, consistently heralded the annual life-giving inundation of the Nile River.
And the floods brought the fertile black silt that made all agriculture possible. No flood, no civilization.
Exactly. The reappearance of Sothis wasn't just an omen, it was the signal for the literal beginning of survival and prosperity. Because of this, the rising of Sirius marked the absolute start of the Egyptian Sothic year and their major New Year festival, the coming of Saptet.
So Isis as Sothis was revered as the mistress of the year's beginning.
Yeah.
The source of renewal.
That's right. And the sources show how this celestial event was woven into their core mythology, particularly the narrative of Isis and Osiris.
Which is just a spectacular example of celestial myth-making.
It really is. The 70 days that Sirius was invisible in the night sky mirrored the 70 days that Isis was said to be in hiding from her rival, Set, after the death of Osiris.
So the star's brilliant reappearance symbolized
What? The mingling of the blue-white light of Sirius with the golden dawn of Ra. It symbolized the magical conception and rebirth of Horus, the deity of the new year, embodying renewed life and order.
And this cosmic alignment wasn't merely metaphorical either. The sources suggest there were actual physical structures designed to interact with this specific star's energy.
That's the persistent claim surrounding the Great Pyramid of Giza. Specifically, the Pyramid of Khufu is widely cited as being intentionally aligned to the rise of Sirius.
The so-called star shafts.
The star shafts, or air shafts, are said to be strategically positioned in reference to the star. The esoteric interpretation is that the pyramid was designed to function not just as a tomb, but as an energetic gateway or portal, a kind of resonance chamber intended to amplify and channel Sirian frequencies to initiates, facilitating spiritual transformation.
From the sands of Egypt, we have to jump across the African continent and forward in time to encounter perhaps the most controversial and compelling argument for a pre-modern understanding of the Sirius system, the Dogon tribe of Mali.
The Dogon case is phenomenal. It was largely popularized by the highly debated work of Robert K.G. Temple in the Sirius Mystery. This tribe, located in remote northwestern Mali, holds sacred traditions centered entirely around Sirius.
And their lore claims they preserved an account of what? Sophisticated, advanced knowledge.
Sophisticated, highly advanced knowledge received from extraterrestrial visitors.
Who were these visitors, according to the Dogon?
They called them the Namo. These were emissaries of their one creator god, Amma. The Namo are often described as demigods, or amphibious beings who descended to Earth in an ark about 5,000 years ago, bringing with them the seeds of civilization and detailed astronomical knowledge.
And the astronomical details they possessed are what makes this story so stunning. We're not talking about vague stargazing here.
Not at all. We're talking about precise astrophysics that they had no technological means of acquiring. The core of their secret knowledge revolves around the invisible star Sirius B, which they called Digitaria.
They knew it existed.
They knew this companion star exists, that it's dark, and that it orbits Sirius A every 50 years. Crucially, they were aware of its immense density and mass. They referred to it as the Star of Foundation and believed it was of greater spiritual and cosmic significance than the blindingly bright Sirius A.
The staggering part is the timeline. The Dogon possessed this detail. The 50-year orbit, the density, when modern science only hypothesized the existence of Sirius B in the mid-19th century.
And didn't confirm its white dwarf nature or photograph it until 1970.
That's the crux of the Dogon mystery.
It is. And furthermore, their knowledge extended beyond the binary system. They knew the structure of the Milky Way is spiral. They knew our moon is lifeless and Earth spins on its axis. They even possessed accurate knowledge of specifics like Saturn's rings and Jupiter's major moons.
All things requiring telescopic observation, which they did not have.
Right.
They even claimed knowledge of that third star, Sirius C.
Yes, the Star of Women, or Ma Atolo. The Dogon tradition asserts that Sirius C is larger than Sirius B, but 4 times lighter. This level of detail in their oral traditions, stretching back millennia, is what fuels the entire ancient astronaut and esoteric Sirius Connection theories.
It's powerful evidence, but we have to acknowledge the immediate and intense mainstream scientific dismissal, led by figures like Carl Sagan. What's the skeptical argument here?
The skeptical argument suggests cultural contamination. It hypothesizes that the Dogon must have recently acquired this specific astronomical knowledge from European sources, maybe missionaries or anthropologists, and then integrated it into their existing older mythology.
It's the simplest explanation.
It is. It suggests the modern knowledge just seeped in and was mistaken for ancient wisdom.
So how do the proponents of the ancient knowledge theory counter that argument?
They raise a few critical points. First, the detailed, esoteric, Sirius-based religion was already deeply embedded in Dogon cultural practice, recorded by anthropologists like Marcel Grial in the 1930s, well before the first major Christian missions were established in Mali.
Okay.
Secondly, specific linguistic evidence has been cited showing shared ancient Egyptian words for the Sirius star system embedded in the Dogon language. This suggests a far older trans-Saharan connection rooted in astronomical knowledge predating European contact by millennia.
So the Dogon case remains the most potent controversial example of advanced knowledge tied to Sirius.
Without a doubt.
That structural similarity, this shared astronomical foundation across vast geographical distances and time, it really starts to weave a tapestry. It moves Sirius from being a source of light to being a source of shared, profound wisdom.
And that takes us to the core of this whole thing.
The profound knowledge of the Dogon and the reverence of the Egyptians bring us to the core thesis of this entire dive. We transition now from the measurable physical star to the metaphysical entity. The idea that Sirius functions as a spiritual sun, actively driving human and planetary evolution.
This is the definitive doctrine of mystery schools, theosophical societies, and various esoteric traditions. Sirius is consistently defined as the sun behind the sun, and thus the true energetic source of our local sun's potency. It's a critical hierarchical structure for understanding energy transmission in our cosmic neighborhood.
Okay, so if our physical sun, Sol, provides the light that powers physical life, warmth, photosynthesis, all of the biological necessities of Earth, what exactly does Sirius provide? What is the quality of its light?
Sirius provides the light of the spirit. It supplies the energy for spiritual evolution and the expansion of consciousness. It's a higher frequency, non-physical light, often described as cosmic intelligence, or more specifically, the energy of thought or mind force.
That concept, mind force, needs unpacking. What does the channeling of mind force from Sirius actually translate to in terms of human development?
Theosophical doctrines view Sirius as a colossal cosmic energy center. Think of it as the macrocosmic equivalent of the human third eye chakra, which is often considered the center of intuition and higher perception.
So through that lens, what is Sirius doing?
Through this lens, Sirius is channeling pure intelligence and evolutionary intent from an even more distant cosmic center, sending it through our solar system with the express purpose of activating potential within the hominid mind and driving collective consciousness forward.
That suggests an incredibly sophisticated, almost engineered system of transmission. I noticed the sources mention a specific path this energy takes before it reaches us.
Yes, it's hypothesized that this Sirian mind force isn't beamed directly to Earth. It's first channeled to Saturn, which is traditionally linked to structure, time, and cosmic law before being passed on to the inner solar system, eventually reaching Earth.
So it's a multi-step process.
It reinforces the idea that the Sirian influence is highly purposeful and regulated, ensuring that the evolutionary impulse is structured and timed appropriately for humanity's growth.
And the systematic belief in Sirian influence extended into organizational structures on Earth. The sources mention Freemasonry.
It does. The belief is that Freemasonry as an initiatory society was established under direct Sirian influence. Sirius, often depicted as the blazing star, is one of their most prominent symbols.
And the tradition holds that their structure was modeled on something else.
Yes, on an initiatory school known as the Greater Lodge on Sirius, suggesting that the highest orders of knowledge and spiritual training ultimately originate from this star system. This connection is sometimes extended to the belief that the highest ranks, like the 33rd degree in American Freemasonry, are linked to communication with intelligent Sirian beings.
Let's connect the physical reality of the star system back to the spiritual frequencies being transmitted. Contemporary esoteric practices assign distinct spiritual attributes to Sirius A, B, and the proposed C. It's a true trinity of consciousness.
This model uses the distinct physical properties, the visible, the hidden, and the theoretical, to map out the spiritual dynamic of the system.
Okay, let's start with the most visible part, Sirius A, the bright, scorching blue-white star.
Sirius A is aligned with the masculine logos and the Christ consciousness. It's the outpouring of divine intelligence, the principle of light, and the hierarchy of the ascended masters. It represents the high-frequency light needed for spiritual awakening and the conscious, visible path to enlightenment. It's the external brilliance guiding the way.
Now for the contrast. Sirius B, the dense, hidden white dwarf. What spiritual attribute is given to this unseen weight?
Sirius B is associated with hidden wisdom. Because it's so dense and concealed, it represents the subterranean, inner, or concealed knowledge of the planet, the deep Gaia consciousness. Intriguingly, it's often linked to the wisdom of the oceans, particularly the consciousness of whales and dolphins, beings believed to hold ancient planetary records.
So it's the repository of forgotten truths, the gravity of deep memory.
You could say that, yes.
And finally, the highly speculative Sirius C, the Dogon's star of women.
Sirius C is universally aligned with the divine feminine frequency. This energy is seen as complementary to the logos of Sirius A, designed to balance and complete the system. It is believed to transmit frequencies that bring total empowerment, compassion, and healing to the universe.
So you have a balanced whole system. Light A, wisdom B, and healing or empowerment C.
Exactly. It's an elegant synthesis.
Yeah.
The physical facts of mass and visibility are perfectly mirrored by the metaphysical concepts of logos, memory, and healing.
This systemic view takes us right back to ancient Egypt, where the core myth wasn't just a story. It was an instructional map for the soul's journey. The Isis-Osiris myth becomes the Egyptian cosmic drama seen through this Syrian lens.
Precisely.
Let's detail that alignment again. Isis is Sirius.
And Osiris is identified with the constellation Orion, specifically the stellar formation known as Sahu. The myth describes the magical rebirth. Isis Sirius impregnates herself with the seed of Osiris, leading to the birth of Horus, the ultimate embodiment of order and renewal.
And metaphysically, this played out in the initiation rituals for the pharaohs. These were not just ceremonial, they were literal attempts at soul evolution.
Exactly. The pharaoh's initiation was a symbolic death and resurrection, patterned on the cosmic death and rebirth of Osiris. The initiate would undergo a ritual where they were said to leave their physical body and fly through space, ascending to the constellation Sahu or Orion and the heavenly duat.
The celestial underworld, the place of transformation.
Right, and the ultimate goal was to acquire the Akh, the spiritual body, the immortal, effective self.
What did that process involve?
The sources detail a rigorous path. The pharaoh needed to perform this ritual 14 times to acquire the 14 kas, or energies, needed for the soul to become fully transformed into the 14 Akhs. This process mirrors the dismemberment of Osiris into 14 pieces, which Isis had to gather.
So only by achieving this complete spiritual integration could the pharaoh attain an exalted status in the afterlife.
Yes, becoming Osirified. And this speaks directly to the evolutionary blueprint you mentioned earlier. The process wasn't about political power, it was about achieving an exalted, immortal state of being.
And it connects directly to this profound esoteric teaching about the creator, Ra, sending his mind, or his I, into creation.
And this I became lost. It turned into the individual souls of human beings who became caught in the cycle of reincarnation, trapped within the labyrinth of ignorance.
So who is the messenger that reminds the soul of its true nature?
That messenger is often identified with Thoth, the deity of wisdom and measurement. Thoth, esoterically, is strongly connected to the Syrian energy flow. He is dispatched to inform the lost I, the human soul, of its true divine identity.
So Sirius, as the source of this mind force, is the transmission point for the wisdom required for the soul to remember itself and make that necessary return journey out of the labyrinth.
It is the cosmic compass pointing the way home.
It's remarkable how a star that seems so distant is woven into the very fabric of ancient soul mythology. But this influence, according to our sources, hasn't ceased. It is actively celebrated today through annual celestial events. Let's shift our focus to the Lion's Gate portal.
The Lion's Gate is one of the most significant annual convergence points in contemporary esoteric practice. It represents a powerful cosmic alignment that opens roughly between August 8th and August 12th every year.
Walk us through this specific alignment that creates this portal.
The portal is generated by the synergistic positioning of 4 major celestial bodies and 1 terrestrial marker. First, the physical sun is in the zodiacal sign of Leo, hence Lion's Gate.
Okay.
Second, Sirius, the spiritual sun, aligns precisely with the Earth. Third, it aligns with Orion's belt, or Osiris. And finally, they all line up with the Sphinx and the pyramids of Giza, creating a massive energetic circuit.
And this alignment is described as unleashing a huge influx of energy.
Yes, which
Yeah.
is why it's nicknamed the Infinity Portal.
So what is the proposed metaphysical effect of all this energy converging on Earth?
When Sirius is aligned this way, its frequencies are believed to bathe Earth with power and potential, enabling an acceleration of consciousness. Proponents believe this energy specifically targets and activates the third eye chakra, allowing individuals to tap into higher energies and access universal knowledge.
And it's said to blur the lines across dimensions.
That's the idea. An event called Lifting the Veil, which makes processes like astral travel and accessing higher, non-physical planes of existence far more accessible than at other times of the year.
This sounds like a moment of forced evolution, where the cosmic energies are just turned up to maximum intensity for a few days.
It is described exactly that way. The energy is considered extremely advanced, governing everything from higher mind development and psychic abilities to technological advancements and the great awakening of humanity.
The idea of awakening naturally leads us to the contemporary concept of Sirian starseeds. This suggests that Sirius's influence isn't just external light, but something genetically intrinsic to certain humans.
The Starseed concept posits that there are wanderer souls, individuals currently incarnated on Earth whose spiritual origins or first energetic lives began in the Sirius star system. These souls volunteer to incarnate here now, often experiencing great difficulty fitting into Earth's society, specifically to facilitate the current rapid evolutionary phase.
And what is their hypothesized role on Earth? Who are they working with?
They are frequently described as planet builders. Their work is believed to have included helping to seed and establish Earth's magnetic field and early planetary consciousness. The sources suggest they collaborate with other star races, particularly Arcturians and Orionid beings, in this grand project.
And their ongoing work.
It involves establishing and maintaining energetic portals and ley lines around the globe, tasks often associated with the retrieval or activation of certain gold disks said to be buried at key energetic nodes.
Murray Hope's work is vital here, suggesting a genetic link that is far more concrete than simple energy transmission. She proposes a physical modification happened deep in prehistory.
Hope's claim is quite specific and revolutionary. She suggested that the Sirian archetypes were deliberately pre-programmed into the genetic structures of advanced prehistoric people, namely the legendary Atlanteans. She goes further, claiming that the Sirians introduced a specific crystal gene into Earth hominids.
A crystal gene? That sounds like direct manipulation. How is this genetic seeding supposed to have occurred, if not through surgical or physical means?
She describes a sophisticated, non-surgical process. The genetic alteration was performed through a field of influence, operating directly on the hominid mind and its energy matrix. It wasn't physical surgery, it was a resonance frequency adjustment that refined the existing genetic structure, providing that evolutionary impetus needed for consciousness to take its next great leap.
So in this view, Sirius isn't just sending light, it's providing the actual genetic blueprint for acceleration.
That's the idea.
To ensure we capture multiple cultural perspectives, let's turn to the indigenous knowledge of the Hopi tribe of Arizona, who also hold a prophecy centered on Sirius.
The Hopi prophecy is centered on their name for Sirius, the blue star Kachina. The entire framework of their oral history points toward a future event known as the Fifth World Emergence.
And this transition is predicted to occur when?
When the blue star Sirius becomes dramatically more visible in the night sky, potentially returning to a closer orbit with Earth, or increasing its output.
And this greater visibility signals the return of the star people.
It does. It will signal the return of the Kakinas, the off-worlders, or star people from Sirius, who will guide humanity through this massive planetary transition. The sources describe the prediction in great detail. When this event occurs, Sirius will appear as a silvery light during the day, and at night, it will look like a second moon.
That's a powerful vision of the future. The connection to the Kakinas, who are spirit messengers or life bringers, underscores the Dogon and Egyptian view that Sirius is a source of divine order and instruction.
Absolutely. The prophecy is so foundational that the Hopi tradition includes making Kachina dolls for their children, so they grow up accustomed to these figures and will not fear the returning star people when this dramatic celestial event finally occurs.
It ties the ancient idea of a Sirian foundation directly to the future evolutionary destiny of humanity,
ensuring that the next step in consciousness is met with acceptance, not fear.
We have covered the astonishing physical facts, the deep history, and the profound modern esoteric claims. Now, let's try to synthesize all these disparate threads. the Lion's Gate, the Dogonomo, the Egyptian Akh, into a cohesive narrative about the human soul's journey.
To do that, and to connect the genetic seeding and the Lion's Gate, we have to discuss Murray Hope's unique claim regarding the Pashats. This is the narrative that anchors the Syrian influence in physical history.
Who exactly are the Pashats?
They are described as a highly evolved, leonine race of beings originating from the Sirius system who traveled to Earth in a distant pre-dynastic epoch. They are believed to have been centrally involved in building early civilizations, working alongside another race called the Crystal People, who are often identified with the biblical Elohim.
This immediately explains the prevalence of lion and cat iconography in Egypt.
Precisely. The Egyptian goddess Bastet, depicted as a cat or lion-headed woman, is interpreted as a direct representation of this lion power, or Pashat consciousness. This isn't just about physical strength, but a fierce, intelligent, and protective consciousness encoded into human genetics during that seeding process.
And what about the most famous leonine structure in the world?
The Great Sphinx of Giza, of course. It's hypothesized by these sources that the Sphinx was originally carved entirely as a lion, a monumental eternal testament to the Syrian heritage and the lion power embedded deep within Earth's energetic record. It stands guard over the knowledge of this origin.
So the Sphinx, aligned with the Orion-Sirius system, is potentially a physical monument to a Syrian race that genetically seeded us with the power to evolve. That shifts the path of enlightenment from abstract concept to a physical, energetic activation.
That's exactly the framework provided. The entire esoteric discussion frames the human experience as a cosmic error, a descent into matter from higher etheric states. This descent, guided by mythological events like the scattering of Osiris, caused the soul to become dislodged from its spiritual crown or spiritual connection, the original Syrian blueprint.
And what is the consequence of this dislodgement?
The soul becomes trapped in the labyrinth of ignorance and bound by the grand illusion.
How is the grand illusion defined in this context?
It is the pervasive belief in separateness, the illusion that we are isolated, mortal beings cut off from the divine source and from each other. The Syrian energy is believed to be the antidote to this illusion.
So the spiritual path, therefore, is the initiate learning to recrown themselves.
Exactly, restoring that original connection by mastering the lower, chaotic nature. And this requires significant internal work to align the self with the Syrian frequency.
What does that transformative work require?
It requires confronting and healing 5 hypothesized soul wounds believed to be held in the human psyche, which are theorized to be ancestral traumas resulting from this original separation from the Syrian Elohimic source.
And those wounds are?
The wounds of abandonment, rejection, abuse, denial, and betrayal. By working through these deeply rooted psychological and energetic separations, the individual prepares themselves to receive the higher frequency light.
So the spiritual journey is literally a cosmic intervention, tuning into galactic frequencies to heal wounds rooted in this ancient separation.
The ultimate goal, as defined in these texts, is achieving personal transformation by consciously tuning into the Syrian energies and aligning these ancient cosmic truths with our collective understanding. This act is seen as reconciling modern science, the search for the unified field, with spirituality, the recognition of oneness. Sirius offers the blueprint for unifying the physical and the spiritual.
Whether you accept the claim that Sirius is the home of ancient astronauts, or you view it as a powerful psychological archetype for higher thought, the sources agree that its influence on our evolutionary potential is profound and ongoing.
It challenges our reality tunnels. Robert Anton Wilson explored this idea, suggesting that the map is not the territory, meaning any model we use, whether scientific or extraterrestrial, is merely a framework for understanding. The complex visions and narratives around Sirius might be a sophisticated mechanism of initiation designed to fundamentally expand the human brain's capacity for processing information and accelerating its internal evolution.
In either case, the focus remains the same.
Exactly. The need to tune into the frequency of the spiritual sun for acceleration.
We have truly journeyed into the deep end today. We started with the astonishing physical reality of Sirius, the dog star, the brightest star in our sky, paired with a hidden, impossibly dense white dwarf companion that defies simple physics.
We saw how this star exerted a profound, tangible influence on civilizations, dictating the calendar and religion of ancient Egypt, where it was the star of Isis, and providing the cosmological bedrock for the Dogon, who preserved astronomical knowledge far beyond their technological means.
And we synthesize this into the powerful esoteric belief that Sirius is the sun behind the sun, the engine for human spiritual acceleration. It provides the mind force, the light for soul evolution, distinct from the physical light of our sun.
And through the annual Lion's Gate portal, and through the energetic work of those believed to be Sirian starseeds, that influence is actively guiding humanity toward a higher state of consciousness and away from the grand illusion of separateness. The ancient texts give us the blueprint for the return journey.
The human soul, the lost eye of Ra, requires the wisdom transmitted via Thoth and the Sirian energy to remember its true identity and achieve the order of the Akh body.
And that struggle is ongoing. The forces of chaos, represented by the Dogon Ogo and the Egyptian Set, represent the current state of ignorance and destruction that must be conquered by the Order of Horus.
Which the prophecies link to the dawning of the Age of Aquarius.
And this transition, according to the teachings, is not passive. It requires activation.
So here's the final provocative question for you to mull over as you look up at the night sky. If Sirius is indeed the transmission point for the energy of thought and the blueprint for cosmic evolution, what ancient memory might we unconsciously be tapping into during the next great celestial alignment? And what lion power, that fierce, protective, intelligent consciousness, do we need to activate within ourselves to fully receive that accelerating wisdom?